we do spend an awful lot of our lives in a sort of state of blissful unawareness, or blissful putting aside of the knowledge that we all have, the knowledge that we are one day going to die. It is a natural conclusion of any human life. Every human life is finite, every human life is going to end. We're all going to die. Now, of course, when that happens, the people who are left behind tend to provide a ceremony celebrating the deceased person's life and to say goodbye to them in a formal manner. Obviously, this is of no interest to the deceased person themselves because they are dead, but it is of interest to the people who are left behind to make this formal break with that person's life, because that person's life is over. And of course, especially for young people, death can be something that is very difficult to get your head around, and it is something that you instinctively shy away from and that you do not want to contemplate. So then when you are confronted with the death of somebody you know, or somebody you know should exist, because it affects somebody else you know, then the first response, the gut response would be to say like, oh, I'm so sorry about that, which is perfectly natural, and to express some horror and some inability to be able to cope if it ever happened to you. And I think at that point in time it is important that you allow yourself to face up to reality. You have to do that every now and again. Otherwise you cannot live fully as a human being, I don't think. But that's my personal opinion. The thing is, we are all going to die. And we are therefore, unless we are hermits and we live in a cave and we never interact with anybody else, we are going to be one day confronted with somebody dying that we know. And we're going to have to accept that because it has happened and it will happen, and there's nothing we can do about it. Doesn't mean we should be happy about it. Of course not. I mean, I can just imagine, for example, Gary in Mendham, Gary's response to me saying something like this and saying that it doesn't make it right. You know, life sucks in that regard. It certainly does. But of course it doesn't change the reality of the fact that we are going to die. So in that light then, I want you to consider, if you still got both your parents, the death of your parents. I know a number of people here have said that they don't even want to think about that. Well, do think about that. Because in the best possible situation, that is what is going to happen. Yes, the best possible situation. It is what you should hope for. That one day you will be burying your parents. Because consider for a moment the realistic alternatives to this. I can't think of many, but there are two that strike me as the most plausible. The first one is that you will be so alienated from your parents that you won't even know nor care about the fact that they have died, and therefore you will not be attending their funeral. Is that what you want? I would hope not. The other alternative is even worse. Believe me, it is even worse. And that is the alternative that rather than you burying your parents will be burying you. Is that what you want? And it is not even a consideration from your own personal perspective that I'm talking about here. The consideration you want to lead a long and happy life rather than die young. That has nothing to do with it. What is important in this consideration is what this will mean to your parents. Think about it. Think about being a parent, I am one, and being faced with having to bury your child, and how awful that would be. And the only alternative is that you die first and that your child buries you. So, yes, life sucks. But of all alternatives, I think the best one is that you're going to see your parents die and you're going to have to bury them. Everything else is worse.